The rain fell steadily against the windows of the small apartment, creating a rhythmic melody that filled the quiet evening. Marcus wiped his hands on a worn dish towel and glanced at the clock on the kitchen wall. 8:30. His daughter Emma should have been in bed an hour ago, but she was still sitting at the small dining table, slowly working through her homework with the determination only a 7-year-old could possess. "Almost done, sweetheart," Marcus said softly, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. The math worksheet was covered in eraser marks and careful corrections, evidence of Emma's persistent effort despite her struggles with numbers. Marcus had been raising Emma alone for 3 years now, ever since her mother had left them both behind. The divorce had been messy, expensive, and had left him with custody of Emma and a mountain of legal bills. His job at the local auto repair shop barely covered their rent, groceries, and Emma's school supplies. Every month was a careful balancing act between necessities and small luxuries that might bring a smile to his daughter's face. The apartment was modest but clean. Marcus had painted the walls himself in warm, welcoming colors, and Emma's artwork covered the refrigerator like colorful badges of honor. The furniture was secondhand but comfortable, and the small living room felt cozy rather than cramped. This was their home, and Marcus had worked hard to make it feel safe and loving for Emma. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Marcus frowned, glancing at the clock again. Visitors were rare, especially at this hour. He walked to the door and peered through the peephole, seeing a young woman standing in the hallway. She appeared to be in her early 20s, with long blonde hair that was damp from the rain. Her clothes were expensive-looking but wrinkled, and she carried a small overnight bag. Marcus opened the door cautiously, keeping the chain lock engaged. "Can I help you?" The woman looked up at him with tired blue eyes. "I'm sorry to bother you so late," she said, her voice soft but strained. "My name is Sarah. I know this sounds strange, but I was wondering if I could stay here tonight. I can pay you for the inconvenience." Marcus studied her face carefully. She looked exhausted and genuinely distressed, but he had to think about Emma's safety first. "I'm sorry, but I don't know you. I have a young daughter, and I can't just let strangers stay in our home." Sarah's shoulders sagged slightly. "I understand completely. I don't have anywhere else to go tonight. All the hotels in the area are booked because of some conference, and I don't have anyone I can call." She reached into her purse and pulled out several $100 bills. "I can pay you $300 just for letting me sleep on your couch. I promise I'm not dangerous. I just need a safe place to stay until morning." Marcus hesitated. $300 would cover Emma's school lunch money for months, and they desperately needed new shoes for her growing feet. But the thought of letting a stranger into their home still made him uncomfortable. "Daddy, who is it?" Emma's voice came from behind him. She had finished her homework and was standing in the hallway, curiosity written across her small face. Sarah looked past Marcus and smiled warmly at Emma. "Hi there. I'm Sarah. I love your pajamas. Are those unicorns?" Emma nodded shyly, stepping closer to her father. "They're my favorite. Daddy got them for me." Marcus felt something shift in his chest as he watched the gentle interaction. Sarah's smile seemed genuine, and there was something about her manner that put him at ease. Maybe it was the way she spoke to Emma with respect rather than the artificial sweetness some adults used with children. "Please," Sarah said quietly, looking back at Marcus. "I know how this must seem, but I'm really just someone who needs help. I would never do anything to hurt you or your daughter." Marcus made a decision that surprised even himself. "Okay. But just for tonight, and you sleep on the couch. Emma and I will be in the bedroom with the door locked." Relief flooded Sarah's face. "Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to me." Marcus stepped aside and let her enter. The apartment felt different with a stranger in it, but not necessarily in a bad way. Sarah looked around with genuine interest, taking in the family photos on the walls and Emma's artwork on the refrigerator. "Your home is lovely," she said, and Marcus could tell she meant it. "It feels very warm and welcoming. Can I get you something to eat?" Marcus asked, falling back on the hospitality his mother had taught him. "I made spaghetti tonight. There's some left over." "That would be wonderful. I haven't eaten all day." While Marcus heated up the leftover spaghetti, Sarah sat at the small dining table with Emma, who had overcome her initial shyness and was now chattering about her school day. Marcus watched them from the kitchen, noting how patiently Sarah listened to Emma's stories and how naturally she responded to his daughter's questions. Where are you from? Emma asked, twirling a strand of her hair around her finger. I grew up about 2 hours north of here, Sarah replied. In a much bigger city. But I like it here. It feels more like home, somehow. Marcus set a plate of spaghetti in front of Sarah, along with a glass of water. She thanked him warmly and began eating with obvious hunger. As she ate, she continued talking with Emma about school, books, and Emma's favorite TV shows. The conversation flowed naturally, and Marcus found himself relaxing despite his initial concerns. I should get Emma ready for bed, Marcus said eventually. Tomorrow's a school day. Of course, Sarah said. Thank you again for the food. It was delicious. As Marcus helped Emma brush her teeth and get into bed, his daughter peppered him with questions about their unexpected guest. Is Sarah nice, Daddy? She seems nice, sweetheart. But remember, she's just staying tonight, and then she'll be on her way. I like her. She listened to all my stories. Marcus smiled and kissed Emma's forehead. Get some sleep, baby. I'll be right here if you need anything. When Marcus returned to the living room, he found Sarah sitting on the couch, staring out the window at the rain. She had folded the blanket he'd given her neatly beside her. She's a wonderful little girl, Sarah said softly. You're doing an amazing job with her. Thank you. It's not always easy, but she's worth everything. Sarah turned to look at him, and Marcus saw something vulnerable in her expression. Can I ask you something? Why did you let me stay? Most people would have turned me away. Marcus considered the question carefully. I guess I know what it's like to need help and have nowhere to turn. When Emma was a baby and I was struggling to make ends meet, a neighbor helped us out. She brought us groceries and watched Emma when I had to work late. I've never forgotten that kindness. That's beautiful, Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. The world needs more people like you. They talked quietly for another hour, sharing stories about their lives. Marcus learned that Sarah was estranged from her family and had been traveling, trying to figure out her next steps. She seemed intelligent and kind, but there was a sadness in her eyes that made Marcus want to help her somehow. The next morning, Marcus woke to the smell of coffee and pancakes. He found Sarah in the kitchen, cooking breakfast while Emma sat at the table, already dressed for school. I hope you don't mind, Sarah said, gesturing to the stove. I wanted to make breakfast as a thank you. I found some pancake mix in your pantry. Sarah makes the best pancakes ever, Emma announced, syrup already decorating her chin. Marcus accepted a cup of coffee gratefully and sat down to join them. The pancakes were indeed excellent, and the morning felt surprisingly normal and comfortable. After breakfast, as Marcus prepared to drive Emma to school, Sarah gathered her belongings. I can't thank you enough for your kindness, she said, pressing the $300 into Marcus's reluctant hands. You saved me last night, and I'll never forget it. You don't have to pay me, Marcus protested. You were a guest in our home. Please. It would mean a lot to me. Marcus finally accepted the money, knowing it would help with Emma's expenses. Sarah hugged Emma goodbye, promising to remember her forever, and then she was gone, disappearing into the morning as suddenly as she had appeared. Life returned to normal for Marcus and Emma. The extra money helped them buy Emma new shoes and some books she'd been wanting. Marcus found himself thinking about Sarah occasionally, wondering if she had found what she was looking for. 3 weeks later, Marcus received a phone call that changed everything. The woman on the other end introduced herself as Margaret Thompson, a lawyer representing the Thompson Family Trust. Mr. Marcus, I'm calling about your recent interaction with Sarah Thompson. She's told us about your kindness to her, and the Thompson family would like to meet with you. Marcus was confused. I'm sorry, but I think there might be some mistake. The Sarah I met was just a young woman who needed a place to stay. Mr. Marcus, Sarah Thompson is the daughter of Robert Thompson, who owns Thompson Industries. She had a falling out with her family and was living independently, trying to understand how ordinary people live. Your kindness to her, without knowing who she was, has had a profound impact on her life. The meeting took place at a downtown law office the following week. Marcus brought Emma, unsure of what to expect. When they entered the conference room, Sarah was there, looking polished and professional but with the same warm smile Marcus remembered. Marcus, Emma, she stood and hugged them both. I'm so glad you came. Sarah explained that she had been estranged from her wealthy family for years, trying to find her own path in life. Her night in their home had shown her what genuine kindness and family love looked like. She had reconciled with her father and was now working to use the family's resources to help struggling families like Marcus and Emma. "I want to set up a trust fund for Emma's education," Sarah said. "And I'm starting a foundation to help single parents in situations like yours. You showed me that real wealth isn't about money. It's about love, kindness, and making a difference in people's lives." Marcus was overwhelmed. "Sarah, I don't know what to say. We helped you because it was the right thing to do, not because we expected anything in return." "I know," Sarah replied, tears in her eyes. "That's exactly why you deserve this help. You opened your home to a stranger, and in doing so, you changed my life forever." As they left the law office that day, Emma skipped beside her father, chattering excitedly about college and all the possibilities that lay ahead. Marcus felt a deep sense of gratitude, not just for the financial help, but for the reminder that kindness, no matter how small, can have profound and lasting effects. The rain had stopped, and the sun was breaking through the clouds, casting everything in a warm, golden light. Sometimes, Marcus thought, the most unexpected guests bring the most extraordinary gifts.